Okay, we made it to another week. Here we are again, and I don't know about you, but I just can't with the news anymore for 100 different reasons, but one of the top ones is the job market. Every day you hear about more layoffs or coming layoffs, or if you're the government, we're going to lay you off. No, we're going to hire you back. We need you to back. It's crazy. It's maddening. Okay, in this video, I am breaking down 5 green flags and 5 red flags that hiring managers and recruiters are looking for in their candidates. So pay attention because these are basic things, but we see the same things over and over again. Some candidates knock it out of the park and get the job. Others make these simple mistakes every time and wonder why they're getting rejected over and over again. So stay tuned for as we break it down in this video. My name's Rob. I am a 27-ish year corporate HR professional. I'm using the word professional very loosely. I've had the great opportunity to work for some awesome companies. Yeah, I even survived this one. But I am on a mission now to take all that stuff I've learned at these great places and give some advice to you out there. And if I can help someone get a job or navigate their career in corporate America and make it a little easier, that's a win for me. So if you like this type of content, please click that like button and click that subscribe button as well. I'd be honored if you did. But before I jump into some green flags and some red flags that recruiters and hiring managers are looking for, I want to give a shout out to a subscriber of mine by the screen name of Orange Juice. I don't know if you're a guy or a girl, but first of all, I'm so sorry that you lost your job. That sucks. But as I've said in other videos, and I'm going to link them here, don't let it get you down. You know, if you need to wallow and in your feelings for a day or two, that's okay. Just don't let it get you down. Pick yourself up, make a plan, and go out and find that new job. It is getting harder every day to find a new job, but I believe you can do it. So you told me in your comment that you're a chef. And I love to cook, and I'm just going to throw something out as just to think outside the box. So I worked with this awesome woman. Her name's Kathy Kirk. Hi, Kathy, if you're watching. And I worked with her at Starbucks, and she was our admin assistant. She was amazing, but we used to trade recipes. Now, this has been a while. It's been, let's call it just south of 10 years. So Kathy started a cooking blog, and she was really kind of a little bashful about it at first, but it's called Laughing Spatula, and I'm going to link it here. So Kathy has built this blog into a retirement income, and let's just say she's pulling in over 6 figures just from this blog. And now it's a mother-daughter project, and they're killing it. And it's just such a great blog. It makes me feel good every time I read it. There's great, easy recipes there. So I encourage you to go check it out. But I offer that to also say that, hey, there's other things you can do. If you want to throw yourself into finding another job as a chef, go for it. But think of something else you could do. Maybe it's a blog. You could offer somebody some cooking advice, right? And then you get sponsors. And it does take a little while to build. But again, think outside the box. You could have some great success down the road. And maybe when you finally get that other job, you know, as a chef again, you're doing this on the side and it creates some passive income, and it's doing something you're already passionate about, cooking. So I encourage you to do that. Again, Kathy, Rachel, hello. If you please, everybody watching this, if you get a chance, go check out their blog. It's laughingspatula.com. I've linked it in the description below. Okay. So let's get to the meat of this video. So let's talk about some green flags that recruiters and hiring managers, you know, are wanting to, you know, when you leave and you've ticked these off, they're wanting to hire you, right? So the first one, again, this is super simple stuff. This is not groundbreaking. Punctuality. If you've got an interview, be on time. If you're rolling in right at the top of the hour when the appointment is, you're probably already too late. You should show up at least 15 minutes, pad it, right? You never know what you're going to encounter from your house to the interview. Or if you're going to have a virtual interview, the same thing, right? Make sure all your tech is working. I was reading on Reddit the other day where this person was like, oh, my tech always works. And of course, Murphy's Law, I go to log in and everything's crashing. My camera doesn't work, all the things, right? So log in early, test it an hour before, all those types of things. It's super important. You want to have that hiring team click in and you're ready to go. You're sitting at your desk. You've got a great background as well, right? Make sure I saw somebody, they were on a Zoom interview and they're literally sitting on the floor, back up against the bed. The bed's not made. There's laundry everywhere and everything. And these people are wondering why they're not getting hired, right? So think about that too. But back to punctuality, I've told this my subscribers before and my viewers before that my first corporate job was at Southwest Airlines, and I got to hire flight attendants, which was one of my favorite jobs. But the one thing we drilled into people was on-time performance, right? So quick story. I had this internal candidate who wanted to come from a CSA or a customer service agent position over to being a flight attendant. She rolled in like 20 minutes late for the one-on-one interview. And I said, no, I'm not interviewing you. You broke the first rule, right? What, are you going to make the plane wait on you if you're a flight attendant? No. Well, she turned into a Karen and got like literally in my face. It was in looking, I'm not going to lie, I was a little intimidated. I didn't know what she was going to do, but I actually acquiesced and I sat down. We interviewed. I just went through the motions. We all know that she's going to get a letter. Yes, it was a letter back in the day, not just an email, but it's going to start with the word unfortunately. No, I am not going to hire you because this is a basic job skill of the flight attendant position is to be on time. And you can't even do that for the interview. So my long-winded way of saying is be on time, no matter, if it's in person or on Zoom. Okay, let's go to the next one. And maybe my last example was a bit of an example for this, but make sure when you're answering questions, take a breath, right? Think about how you're going to frame it. Don't speak in riddles or circles, right? And that just shows the see, I'm doing it right now, right? I can't form a complete thought because my notes are over here, but I'm looking at you anyway. But my point here is, and I guess I'm a visual aid, is don't talk in circles. Think about what you want to say. Sometimes, even writing down what you want to say is, if that's how you process information, it's okay. Just say, hey there, I want to do this, whatever. And I'll get to preparation in just a second, but avoid talking in circles, avoid corporate jargon, synergize or circle back, all that stuff that just elicits an eye roll from people. Just really tell people a story, invite them in for this answer to their question and give them the situation. What your role was it? What action did you take? And what the results were? I cannot underscore it more. Talk about data, results, how you impacted the business. Those are great examples and will actually make the hiring team want to talk to you more and maybe ask more probing questions. It's always a great sign if somebody asks a more probing question that maybe starts with, hey, tell me more about fill in the blank. So don't talk in circles, okay? So going on to the next one. Think about your nonverbal cues, right? So this is about preparation, right? So if you're a bit of an introvert or what have you, or if you're shy, think about what the impression you want to leave on that hiring team is from a nonverbal perspective. So eye contact, it's so important, especially if you're on Zoom, right? You want to make sure, much like I am talking to a camera right now, you want to make sure you're making eye contact with the hiring team and the other people on that interview panel. Because again, that creates that connection. If you're kind of doing this, they're going to think you're reading or whatever it is, or that you're not taking it seriously. So those small things are important. if you do meet somebody in person, right, shaking their hand, or, if germs are still an issue, maybe avoid that, but make a joke, do the elbow bump or whatever it is. But make sure when you're introducing yourself or greeting them, you're looking people in the eye, maybe even repeating their name back. Hi, nice to meet you, Cheryl. Those types of things. Those really leave a lasting impression and inspires confidence. Now, this may take some practice, right? Because maybe you're a little bit down, right? You got laid off or whatever it is, or you're nervous. So practice, 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 right? And that leads us to the next one. It's preparing for the interview. Again, I went down a Reddit rabbit hole the other night when I had a bit of insomnia, and I saw people, they're applying for hundreds of jobs, and it is soul crushing, right? But when you start getting those interviews, right, and it will happen, just keep up your resilience, and keep persevering and keep applying. But when you get those interviews, you've really got to put into motion how you're going to prepare, right? Think of all the questions. Think of yourself in the role of the recruiter or hiring manager for the role you're interviewing for. What would you want to learn from a candidate, right, if you were the one asking the questions? And then when you come up with those, jot down some answers, rehearse those answers. It's so important. The preparation, a prepared candidate versus a non-prepared candidate is, night and day. For a hiring team. And, when I've been across the table interviewing people, I pretty much know in the first 5 minutes if this is going to be a good interview. Now, some people have changed my mind throughout the course of the interview, but it's clear. So make that first impression, that you're confident, you're creating that eye contact like we talked about before, and you show up that you actually are taking this job seriously, you prepared for it, and you're going to be an asset to that company. That's the vibe you want to leave in your wake as you leave that interview, okay? So prepare, prepare, prepare. Do not wing it. All right, then at the end, right? This is basic manners. Send a thank you note. Gone are the days of the handwritten note. I think it's a lost art. So, if you are in person, maybe pre-write out a thank you note to the hiring team, to individual members of the hiring team, and on your way out, leave them at the front desk. I mean, that's super classy, because frankly, nobody's doing it anymore. Email is fine. Here's what I would say is, don't expect a response, right? Because, if you're in the position of you've got multiple candidates and everything, you don't always want to signal back to that person or engage in a conversation, in getting a back and forth. Sometimes it gets weird. Now, having said that, I've experienced where hiring managers will actually respond and say, "Oh my gosh, it was so nice to meet you. I'm looking forward to next steps." If you've left that good of impression and that's their response, that is a gold mine, and you should feel pretty good about yourself. But don't get your hopes up until you actually get scheduled for the next interview, and keep preparing those types of things. So send the thank you note, leave one in person. They will remember you. Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about what not to do. And this first one, I mean, this is guaranteed you're not getting a second interview. And quite frankly, I wish there was a way we could leave like Yelp reviews for bad candidates. So the first one is the candidate that doesn't show up. They just no call, no show. What does that say about them, right? First of all, some people are actually surprised. Oh, I didn't show up for my first interview and they won't reschedule me. Really? Really? You didn't bother to call and say, hey, I had something come up, and people understand those things happen, but come hell or high water, you should be showing up that interview. And if you can't, call the recruiter, whoever set up the interview, and let them know. Say, hey, I can't make it. Can we reschedule? I'm super sorry. All the things that will leave a better impression than just no showing. Because if you no show, that's going in their applicant tracking system. And if you try to apply for another job there, I promise you it's in the notes somewhere, and you won't get calls back for that same company. So you've left this bad taste in that company's mouth. And quite frankly, why would I want you to waste my time again? So be on time, show up, prepared. Okay. Here's one of my favorites, the dress code. So it's important. So I'm thinking back to that time I worked for that horrible place. You know, the one that makes the ugly cyber trucks. Yeah, that one. What they did well on my interview is they said specifically, do not show up in a suit. Come in, jeans and a polo shirt is perfectly acceptable, all the things, because for the job I was interviewing for, we were going to be walking the factory floor, all that type of stuff. So I appreciated that they told me that in advance. Now, I did show up in really nice jeans. I had some shoes on, not tennis shoes. I had a good polo. I made sure it was pressed and no lint on it, all the things. So take those cues. And you might even ask who's scheduling you, hey, what is the dress code? What's the attire in the office? And if you don't get any cues, it doesn't always have to be a tie for guys or, a suit or anything, but you can still dress up and make you look. What you want to do is make it look like you're taking this seriously. You want to leave a good lasting impression from, again, your nonverbal stuff, how you dressed, how you paid attention to detail. All of that stuff is super important. So don't roll in something wrinkled. Iron it, wash it, think about how you smell, all that type of stuff. Oh, speaking of smell, and this is kind of under the dress code umbrella, don't overdo it on the cologne. I mean, nothing's worse than when you have a candidate come and you've literally got to open the windows to get their cologne or perfume out of the room. I mean, from a hiring team standpoint, that smell stays with you all day long. So think about it. Less is more on the cologne and perfume topic. So just my 2 cents. The red flag is going back to, a green flag before is the speaking in circles. So don't do it. This isn't your TED Talk. Think about how you're going to take this team that you're interviewing with on a journey with you. So oh my gosh, here's the answer to my question. I've got a great answer to your question. Here, let me set the scene for you, right? I was working on this team, on this project, blah, blah, blah. Here's the problem we were faced with, and here's how we attacked it. And here was my role. The important thing is sometimes it's hard to determine when you're hearing an answer from a candidate how much of a role they played in a team project, because sometimes they'll take all the credit or give the illusion that they have they're the linchpin of that plan, when in reality they were just kind of bringing up the rear. You want to narrate that as part of your answer, right? Saying, this is the role I had in it, this is the action I took. And let's say, for example, the result wasn't great, right? Think of, it's helpful to narrate, hey, in reflection after that, we would have done this or that, and had we had it to do over again, turn it into a positive, show some critical thinking there. That will demonstrate common sense, good judgment, all of that type of stuff. So really put some thought into that, even if it is a negative answer you're kind of offering to the hiring team. What would you have done differently? So I actually think I just spoke in circles again on that answer, but don't do that. That's why preparation is so important. And, that's the other thing, if going to the next red flag is, if you do get a follow-up, like, well, where did this project fail or whatever it is, and you're blaming somebody, a former coworker, a boss, or whatever it is, if you're just pointing fingers and not taking accountability, that's going to leave a bad impression, fault in this process or in this story or in this situation. And here's what I would do differently. Here's what I did differently after that. So I grew from that example, and I didn't repeat that behavior in the future. That's great. That's you're again showing that you're a constant learner and all that type of stuff. So really think about that as well. The blame game is not going to do you any favors if you're just pointing fingers at other people as part of your example or your answer to a question. All right, the last red flag that will, I bet an employer or a hiring team rather would be running for the hills and end the interview very quickly if you start trash talking your past or current employer. Not a good color on you. Don't do it, even if it is wildly obvious why you'd be saying such things. So I'll give you an example for me. I used to, and I think people got it at the time because I did get other jobs, but I used to make a kind of a passive aggressive ding at working at Tesla and for Elon. I'd say something like, well, I survived there. I'd make a crack about it. And I think I got away with it a couple of times, but in retrospect, probably not the best answer. I could have come up with something much more positive, like, hey, I had an awesome team, which I did. I'm still in touch with many of them today. I had an awesome boss. It was super high energy. We were working on something we were all passionate about. I didn't have to bring Elon into that equation, even if it was such low-hanging fruit. So just stay away from it. Don't trash your employer. Don't trash your boss or anything like that. It's just not going to do you any favors. So I wanted to keep this video a little bit shorter than my other ones. So I hope these are helpful. I know they're basic, but again, people tend to mess up in interviews on the basic stuff. So again, prepare, think of the impression you want to leave. Take the job seriously, from your appearance to your preparation to showing up on time, all that stuff. And I promise you, those offer letters will start coming your way, and hopefully you'll be back employed in your dream job or whatever you're looking for. So with that, I would be, again, honored if you would subscribe to this channel. It's something I'm working on as kind of a passion project, as a second act, if you will, in my career. Would love any feedback, all that type of stuff. And stay tuned for other episodes coming soon. We've got new episodes dropping on Sundays and on Thursdays. So I hope you're well. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Please let me know in the comments. Orange juice, I know you can get a new job, and you send me some recipes. I like to cook too. So until next time, take care of each other, and catch you later. Bye. This video was recorded and produced by Just Talk Studios, the premier video podcasting studio in Bellevue, Washington. Visit justtalkstudios.com to learn more and book your session today.